Hello, my name is Jesse Bernhardt. I'm an assistant coach at the University of Maryland, and today I'm going to provide some position work drills on the defensive side of the ball. I'd first like to thank the Richmond coaching staff and all of the other coaches out there who have provided drills and coaching to this cause during this difficult time. Overall, I broke it down into three categories: stick work, ground balls, off ball, and on ball work, providing a drill for each of these. Mindset going into not only this period of time that is difficult, but also when practicing during this time, is making sure you're providing quality versus quantity practice. We want to be purposeful in our practice. We don't need to be out at the field for hours on end, and we want to make sure the reps that we are doing are quality reps. We're not just doing a lot of reps. We want to make sure we are being intentional with the work, okay, that is in front of us at that period of time. The first drill in regard to stick work and ground balls is something called UMass GBs. This is a drill I picked up as a camper back when I was in middle school and progressing through my high school ranks. In terms of setup, you'll need at least one partner and roughly about 10 yards of space. You'll start 5 yards apart from each other. One player will stand near the ball, the other will start 5 yards away and be the guy scooping the ground ball. Different variations. The guy near the ball can just cover the ground ball with his stick. He could check as the player runs through, or he could even start behind the player scooping the ball to provide some token pressure. Once the player scoops the ball, we want to break away to create space. Once we do that, we want to make sure we are mirroring sticks. So one player stick in their left, one player stick in their right to avoid throwing through sticks and creating a passing lane. After the first pass, we will backdoor cut to a snively catch, meaning an over-the-shoulder catch, essentially mimicking moving towards the cage. Points of emphasis are accelerating through the ground ball, creating space from one another once we pick up the ball, getting the ball in and out of our stick, and then working on soft hands because this is in tight quarters. As you can see, the setup here, they're in groups, but you can start 5 yards apart, one player covering the ball. Once they scoop the ball, we want to sprint to create space. Again, mirroring sticks, one player with stick in his left, one player with stick in his right, and then we are working on a backdoor cut to catch snively, meaning across their face. You can do this with regular lacrosse balls. You can also do that with tennis balls. Off ball, box sliding. Setup for this drill, preferably if you could have 5 cones or 5 objects to serve as cones. We like to set them up in a box shape with one on the inside. Roughly 10 yards of space. You could always have more or less. We want to make sure we start inside on the middle cone as if that were mimicking the crease. Make sure we are starting in a good off-ball stance. That means low pad level, so drop your butt. Again, hips down. We talk about 10 and 2 positioning, meaning we want to have one of our feet positioned aiming towards the ball and the other aimed to the inside cone or a crease player that they are simulating during that time. And we want to make sure we are punching our ear with our stick. So that way our stick is vertical and up in the air to avoid being grabbed, avoid getting caught up in traffic. Also, it has an opportunity to potentially knock down any passes that are thrown inside. You can work around in either direction, sliding to each cone. Variations would be completing a full slide at each cone, hedging to each cone, or performing a redodge, so a hedge to back to then a full slide. And you can be very creative with this as you go around counterclockwise or clockwise. Again, points of emphasis. We want to make sure we are bouncy on our feet. We don't want to be statues stuck in cement. Presence. Look the part. Having good pad level, like we discussed, will give us a presence to deter dodgers from taking movements towards the goal. Head on a swivel, so not always staring at the cone, but giving ourselves the opportunity to check to the inside cone, back to the cone that we're going to slide to. And then we want to lead with 6. So if we do perform a full slide, we want to make sure that when we slide, it is essentially an approach and our stick is out in front of us. As you can see the setup here, we're working in 2 groups. Cones are roughly, again, about 10 yards apart with one on the inside. We want to make sure, again, our stick is up front of us. Right now, these players are performing full slides, so they're starting in good low pad level position. Their stick should be punching their ear vertical. They want to make sure when they get to the cone, their stick is out in front of them and they're leading with 6. So essentially, you want to approach and slide to each cone, reset yourself back to the inside, always starting in good 10 and 2 low pad level position, and continually working around the cones in whichever fashion or way that you would like to do. Make sure we want to keep our chest in a 10 and 2 position until we fully commit to the dodge. Once we commit our hips, at that point, it is hard to go back. In this example, you can see them performing a hard hedge, some of them doing better than others. The player on the left probably needs to be a little bit more bouncy and getting his stick up near his ear, but having a presence, a hard, violent hedge can simply talk a dodger out of being a threat to score goals. You can do this in going in either fashion or either way, or every cone you could change it up. One cone can be a hedge, one cone can be a full slide, one cone can be a redodge slide. On ball, shadow footwork. Set up for this, need at least one partner. A cage is helpful, but it's not necessary. You can get away with using cones to mark out yardage as if you were on a lacrosse field. We want to start about 7 to 10 yards below goal line, or what would be. Place your stick in between both of your hips. The stick should be able to stay between the defender and the offensive player's hips without anybody holding. So the pressure should hold the stick in the air. The defensive player can hold the stick with one hand, essentially where his pocket would be. If you need to choke up on the shaft, then do so. The offensive player will dodge at the defender as if he were trying to score a goal. You want to work around cones or a cage as if he were attacking goal line to turn the corner. The defensive player needs to continue at the appropriate distance to give a cushion, but keep constant pressure on the stick so that it does not fall to the ground. Points of emphasis are the cushion I had just mentioned, maintaining space between the dodger and the defender. This is going to force us to move our feet and not be over aggressive with our hands. And during this drill, we are not concerned with goal line play. We essentially want to finish the drill running in a north-south fashion up the field. We can work on the goal line play in other drills. So as you can see here, demonstrating, we want to start with the shaft and the stick on the player's hip and in between the player that's dodging and defending. The offensive player will then drive the player back, and the defensive player will continue to provide the cushion by working again in a north-south fashion up the field, giving constant ground to keep, but while keeping the shaft between the hips. As you can see here, stick between the shafts, or I should say the shaft is between their hips. The dodger will dodge and run at the defender, keeping that cushion, but there's constant tension and pressure on the stick so it doesn't fall to the ground. Again, by doing this, he's maintaining good distance from the attackman or the midfielder that's dodging below goal line, and we can later do drills to work to practice, again, getting our hips around goal line. But the point of this drill is to put focus on maintaining footwork and not being over aggressive with our hands, using our 6 feet as a cushion, but not anymore.